Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. A life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen. I am your hostess for the evening, and with me, as always, is Brian. Hey, Brian.
Howdy.
And Henno, of course, cannot join us this week because he is working very diligently on his campaign, which we wish him all the luck in the world, and it is very exciting. Someone actually, one of the listeners that knows me, of the podcast knows me, and came to me and was telling me how cool it is that what Henno is doing, and looked up his page and was following him and his journey to hopefully success. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. He's like, I love his platform that he's running on.
Cool.
So, for those of you who haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's Henno Heiter, and go check out his political page and give him some support. Even if we can't vote because, we're not in Idaho,
right.
But we can't vote for him, at least we can do is share the love and give him all our support.
Yep.
So, well, with that being said, wait a minute. Going by the rules, I gotta go first, don't I?
Yeah, because you weren't here last week.
Since I was not here last week. Mm-hmm. All right. So how was my week? My weeks, I should say, because
right.
Two. I guess we'll start with vacation. Vacation was good.
Right.
Very relaxing, very restful. I had a great time. I went down to visit my mom and my stepdad, and my brother came down as well with us, with my husband and I, and so we had a nice family weekend. Went to a airplane show, which unfortunately did not go off. It was this weird thing. It was supposed to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We went on Friday, and we never actually saw any airplanes. So
what happened?
They're thinking, well, it wasn't organized very well. It sounds like.
Okay.
It seems like, and what happened was it got a little windy, so then they weren't letting people up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But a good majority of the planes didn't show up anyways.
Which is weird, yeah.
Yeah, because they're all showing up on Saturday.
Okay.
So it was, I think it was a combination of not being planned very well, because a good 2/3 of the food booths and the drink booths and stuff weren't even open.
Wow.
And it was just weird. And my stepdad has Parkinson's, so he doesn't walk very well. He also had a bad hip from a fall earlier this year. So we ended up having to walk. He had to walk at least half a mile, if not more, probably closer to 3/4 of a mile to get back there because they didn't have the shuttles up and running yet.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah, and then we were supposed to stand or sit on the ground, to which I read online that they were going to have chairs for rent. So I looked at the woman and I kind of said my piece, shall we say,
Fair enough.
to the woman that was running the day. And so she got us into the advanced section or whatever that had chairs.
Yeah, okay.
There was nobody really there anyways. So she's like, just go ahead. And if anyone gives you a hard time, just tell them Ricky sent you. And I'm like, all right, cool. So at least we got chairs. And so we sat there for a while. But after about an hour of sitting there and nothing happening.
Right.
And a few drinks, decided to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so unfortunately that was kind of a down moment. But
yeah, that's too bad.
Other than that, yeah, so that kind of stunk. But other than that, it was a very nice trip. Then we came home on a Sunday. Found out Monday that my stepdad fell again and injured his other hip. So he was in the hospital. They did surgery Monday night and everything. So I was, handling that. Work was busy as all get out, so handling that.
Right.
Then on Tuesday, one of my coworkers fell down her stairs. So then she obviously could not work. So I ended up going overtime. And then Wednesday overtime, Thursday overtime.
Right.
So it was one of those weeks that slowly just kind of went, meow. So, but the interesting part, I'm almost getting to the point now with the number of hours I'm working. I ended up clocking 64 hours last week.
Jeez.
And that included I had to go in and I did 10 hours on Saturday. So I didn't even have a full 2 days off for the weekend. And it's getting to the point where I'm starting to feel, even with my full medicines and everything like that, I'm starting to feel the effects of my bipolar coming to the surface.
Right.
I think I finally reached that point where I cannot, my tools in my tool chest are not big enough to be able to contain it any longer.
Sure.
So something has to change. And the good news is that they hired somebody that used to work in the department. They hired her back, and she started this week, so she's doing training this week. She'll be on her shift next week. And for all intents and purposes, right now, knock on wood, it looks like I should be doing a regular 40-hour week this week, hopefully.
Yeah, well, good.
Yeah, and I have the weekend off. I do have, unfortunately, it's not going to be 100% free weekend for me to kind of isolate and, recoup and re-energize. I have a party, which it's one of those things that I've been looking forward to this party. It's a costume party. I've been planning for it.
Yeah.
I'm all geeked about it. But yet, because of everything else going on, I'm at that point where it's like, I almost wish it wasn't this weekend. Because
you're seeing it as that you have to be on.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way. It's just truth is that when you go to a party, it's, and you want to be part of it. You want to participate. And that's the kind of situation that I get into to where I start detaching. I'll go to a party like that and I'll just sit there and it won't take very long. And basically I'll just start kind of drifting off. I won't, I'm there, but I'm not mentally, I'm not there anymore. So hopefully it doesn't go that way for you.
Well, that's usually when I start getting people, because I'll get, people ask me if I'm okay, because I'll start getting a stoned look on my face.
Yeah,
so I'll
exactly.
get this plastered smile.
Yep.
Or something that, because my head is somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to pretend that I'm here, but I'm not.
Right. That's what I do too. And then when people are making, conversation with me and I really, it's tough because in my head what happens is as they're talking, my head is just going, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, you know.
Yeah.
Or leave me alone, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not really listening.
And it sucks because you don't truly feel these things. And that's what
exactly.
I want to make sure the audience understands. It's not because we don't want to talk to this person. It's not because you don't want to engage with them. It's because the stuff that goes on in your head is you can't keep it at bay. Your defenses are lowered, so you can't keep it at bay, and it's starting to creep into the scenario.
What usually happens, like the way I've described it basically, is that you're full. Like you can't, like you've been on all week, or, you know, you've gone and done like party after party after party kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And you hit that point to where you're just like, I can't take in any more of this, like socializing or whatever. And, you know, like there was a birthday party I was at, and I was sitting next to Tony, and I started doing this. You know, Tony was talking to me, and I was just like, kind of a, you know, and it's like, that is 100% not like me, you know, like normally, you know, whenever Tony's, you know, talking to me, we're goofing off or whatever, and I was just not really there. And, you know, it sucks, like you said, because it's not on purpose, but you can't, like, I can't stop it, you know, like the only way I can correct it or make it stop is basically I have to go isolate, and I have to basically, you know, it's almost like I need to go climb in my bed, put my sheets over my head, and, you know, just lie there for a while, and then I'll be good, you know, but I just, you know.
And I hate to say it, that's part of the reason that I think I'm still smoking, is because, I mean, I'm getting pretty darn good. I've gone days without smoking. Yeah. But at work, the only time I don't even get a lunch break. I mean, technically, they give me a lunch break, but I work through it.
Right.
So the only breaks I get is if I get up to go to the bathroom or if I go out and smoke.
Right. Yeah, so I can understand why you would go out and smoke then, because it's a break. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a mental break. Yeah. You know, same thing with parties and social events. It's a socially acceptable excuse to step outside and do nothing. Yeah,
it's actually why, and I'm sure you've been to parties with me and such, but that a lot of times if somebody's smoking, I'll go outside too. Mm-hmm. Is because basically they're smoking, doing whatever. I'm out there for basically a break. You know, from the socializing or whatever. Yeah. So that's part of why I'll go do that at times. It's, you know, cause I don't want to be around the cigarette stuff, but I just want to get away from everything else, basically. You know, go outside, do a little breathing, just, you know,
clear the mechanism.
Yeah. Kind of have just quiet around you, and then, okay, now I'm ready to go back in, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you kind of mentioned the whole, like, cuddling up in bed. Well, something I saw the other day on TV was weighted blankets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard about these.
Yes, and I saw that, and I'm like, how an amazing concept. Because I've never really put the two together. Right. But I feel better when I have weight on me. Yep. If I'm having an anxiety attack, or if I'm really upset or anything, I want that feeling of heaviness on me to kind of, you know, like almost like a hug.
Exactly. That's really what it's essentially mimicking is a hug. It's why when I first saw it, I laughed because I was like, oh, it's like a thunder shirt.
yes, it is.
But I can totally understand it because, like I've said before, one of the things that sucks about like being single is that you lose that kind of feeling, you know? There's nobody like holding you at night or that puts their arm over you or anything like that, or that you can do that to, you know, like you lose that kind of intimacy and such. And sometimes, you know, you're just having a bad day and you want a hug, you know, like kind of a thing. It's like, like I've said before, you just want someone to hug you and tell you it'll be okay, basically.
Right.
You know?
Like,
just
hug
like
me and lie to me.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
Yeah, it's like when you're a little kid, basically, you know, that's all you need sometimes. But it's true, you know, we all kind of need that as adults too. And this gives you, you know, the opportunity to at least mimic it a bit, you know?
So with you, it'd have to be a weighted sheet.
Oh God,
But-
yeah. You picture me wearing a weighted blanket. That'd last for about a second.
Woo!
Yeah.
Out.
Get off me. Yeah. Oh, it'd be terrible. I'm
Right?
really curious though. Like I would be curious to kind of try one of these just to see how it makes me feel or whatever, you know, because I've read stuff, people talking about how they work well. So, you know, hey, whatever works for you, you know?
Because that's what, in the summertime, I miss that so much. I miss having because I'm a person that sleeps with 2 or 3 blankets. And the lighter, I shouldn't say it that way, the heavier the blanket, but less warm the blanket, the better. I'm very specific on my blankets. You know, I want something that feels heavy, but doesn't trap the heat in, per se.
Yeah.
So I can use multiples, if that makes sense. So Afghans, I'm a fan.
Right.
Get the weight, but not the heat.
Right. Yeah, because they let it out. Yeah.
So, but, yeah, I saw that and I thought, I'm like, so I may need to be investing in that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so it's weird because I'm at this place now and I'm attributing it to this too shall pass. You know, I'm holding in there. I don't want to up my meds. I don't want to change my meds.
Yeah.
I'm trying hard. I'm tearing up at stupid stuff and my tears are coming back. That's a big signal for me.
Yeah, that is.
When I start crying at randomness, that's when that's a big warning bells going off that something is really wrong.
Right.
I need to get adjusted quickly. So.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm getting hyper emotional, but you know, it is what it is, and thankfully, like I have a very good support system, as I've mentioned. So they understand and know when I say that my eyes are watering versus when I'm crying.
Yeah,
they understand the difference. Which for the audience, I don't know if you guys have ever heard me use those terms, but when I'm actually upset if I'm feeling emotionally upset and that's why my eyes water, that's me crying. And I'll own that as crying. If I am having the physical attributes of crying, such as eyes watering and tears falling, but I am not experiencing the emotional aspect of it, I refer to that as my eyes watering. Right. I keep them separate. Because, you know, to the onlooker, you know, someone just looking at me, they would never know the difference, and I don't expect them to.
Yeah. No, definitely, because they're going to look at you and go, why are you crying? Because that's what it looks like,
No, my eyes are watering.
Yeah, like,
no, crying.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, sure, it's your allergies, right? Yeah, okay, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. All of those things that I've said in the past, which are true, it's just...
That's the worst part, actually, is that you do have allergies that can make your eyes water. You've got that, like, you know, if someone jumped out at you and startled you, your eyes would water, you know, and then there's
very sensitive eyes, folks.
Yeah. And then there's the, you know, like, emotionally, like, crying situation. So it's like, it's tough, you know, sometimes to tell. You have to have context and you have to know you. You know, like if it happens around me, I can pretty much go, oh, this happened, you know, I'm not surprised. But somebody like at work that may not know that and just, you know, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? You know?
Exactly. No. And that's why, so I try to, so far, I've been at this job for almost 2 years, a little shy of 2 years. I have cried one time.
Right.
And I had an overreaction one time.
Right, I remember.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Because normally it happens more often than I want to own to. But I've only had one experience. So which is good.
That is good.
And I'm trying to keep it that way.
Right. Well, yeah, because we've talked about it before, about how, there's the perception of weakness or that you can't handle your mental illness because you've told people that you have this. So if it looks like you're breaking apart or breaking down, they might start second guessing things. And, so it's understandable. You want to show that that's not the case, that it's, sometimes these things happen, but you'll be fine. You just gotta,
Yeah, I gotta work through it.
Yeah.
And yet again, I've been told, which I appreciate where the sentiment is coming from when people say, "Boy, she was really bipolar," but not you. You're like different bipolar. You're good bipolar.
Yeah.
I get it, folks.
Yep.
I 100% understand, and I appreciate what you're trying to tell me and what you're trying to say. Mm-hmm. But it is really insulting.
Right, right.
It's I understand you don't want to be insulting, and that's never your intent. But it is really insulting when you say someone is bipolar, and then discount somebody else's illness because they've got it handled well.
Yeah.
No, it's like that. My bipolar is not any less bad than somebody else's. I just work really hard at keeping it under control.
That's the thing is, a lot of people, they'll go, wow, you don't seem this or that. And it's like, well, you don't see all the work I put into it. I'm on various medicines for it. It's like, this isn't just all of a sudden, ta-da, I'm it went away. This is this is something that me and a team of doctors are working on.
Yes.
Well, I'm not wrong. I mean, I have a general practitioner, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and that's just for the mental health part. That's without, like a neurologist for, migraines and stuff. So it's like, but at least I have at least 3 doctors working on the case.
Right. With me, I have two that I go to on a regular, a psychiatrist and a general practitioner.
Right.
And I'm on 4 different medications.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I do this podcast to help me out, but then I do the breathing techniques and I do a bunch of different mental exercises and stuff I have to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's, that's the insulting part about it. When people are trying to give you the compliment that you have, that you do a really good job of dealing with it, which I understand that's the compliment that they're trying to share.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
But the way it comes across is you're discounting all of this hard work.
Yeah.
It's like someone who's trained for a marathon, runs the marathon, and does really well, and someone go, "Oh, I didn't realize that you were that good of a runner."
Right.
Do you not know?
The way this really sings true to me is, and I've talked about this before, about how if you're online and you see somebody that's like an artist of some sort, in the comments, there'll always be at least one person that says, "I wish I could draw like you," or "You're so lucky." And it's like, look, yes, they can be, because sometimes you're just right place, right time, or, you went to a convention and an editor there was like, oh, we got to hire this person. Those things can happen. But again, you've put yourself in those places, but you also have to do a certain level of work. If you don't put the work in, Marvel's not going to hire you to do comic books, because they want to put out a quality product, kind of a thing. So, if you put in the amount of work, it's like people don't realize, like, some of these artists put in hundreds and hundreds of hours. Like, they're drawing like all the time to keep their skills sharp. There's a guy I follow on Instagram that does tremendous pencil portraits of people. And every day pretty much he's at like Starbucks and he just sits there and he sketches the people in the place. And then he also goes to like figure drawing classes and works on forms and stuff there. And it's like, and then when you see him actually doing his work, you're like, well, no wonder why he's so good. Look at all these other things he's doing to make, those little things that he's doing the rest of the time makes that final drawing so much better. Because, his eye is sharp, so he sees, perspectives and different stuff, and his hand is, his skills are sharp because he's been practicing. And it's kind of the same with this, is that, it's the same concept, is that if somebody looks like they have it all together, they might, but they also might be the type that as soon as they leave work, just falls completely apart, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I gotta hold it together. I got an hour. Hold it together, you know?
I've been that person.
Yeah. I have too. I think just about everybody probably has at some point, you know? But,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You have those days that you're just like, just gotta keep it together for just a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Almost done.
Yeah.
Almost out.
Yep.
So.
Go home and sit in the shower and cry for a while.
Exactly.
Like that gif that goes around a lot of David Cross, or when he was Tobias Funke, when I forgot how to say it, from Arrested Development, where he's in the shower and he's biting on the thing and he's just sobbing. Yeah.
Right.
No big deal.
No. Just an everyday average shower.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm making light of it, but it's just, you know, there is, the difference is that really those kind of days are more frequent, kind of a thing when you deal with this stuff, you know. And another side to this that to not be discounted is that people with mental illnesses, basically the illness teaches us to put a mask on. So we can come across as happy or that we fit in or whatever and just be not anything like that, you know, like essentially like an actor almost, is that, you know, and, you know, so there's that element to it too. But, you know, like you said, it does come from a good place. They're trying to compliment you. It's just an awkwardly worded compliment, you know? Yeah.
You're bipolar. Just not like her. Like, she's crazy bipolar. You're just normal bipolar.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Like, that's not really a compliment, but okay. Yeah.
And the worst part about it is, I know I'm that person in somebody else.
Oh yeah, I think we probably all do.
You know,
it.
So I'm not getting too down on. I'm not meaning to get too down on somebody, because I know I've made my absolute share of faux pas when it comes to trying to compliment someone, or you know.
Yeah.
So I mix my words up and say things wrong all the time. So thankfully, you know, people give me the benefit of the doubt that they understand where my intention is.
Yeah.
If not my actual words.
Yeah, that's always the thing, you know, it's you know, we did a whole episode on, you know, choosing your words carefully and stuff. I just read an article yesterday on one of the like psychology type sites or something, talking about how we need to get better about not using the term schizophrenic and bipolar for people who are not diagnosed, you know, like thing. And we did a whole show on it. So if anyone wants to hear us talk about that, you can go back, and it's, I think it's called like choosing the right words or something to that effect. So, you know.
Yeah. All the good jazz. But so that's what I've been dealing with. You know, I'm still in good spirits, and, you know, so I don't want people thinking I'm too far down the rabbit hole, because I'm really not. I'm still in a really good place. You know, there's a lot of positivity in my life, you know, and I'm just, you know, I'm working on keeping things, you know, getting things back to even.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what's going on right now is it's not that it's terrible, it's just your balance is off.
Yes,
you just
very much.
Yeah, you need to get back to even. Yep.
So that's where I'm at. I'm working towards even. How you doing, Brian?
I've been pretty decent the last week or so. I can't remember if I talked last week or not about, I had a therapy appointment that I totally forgot about. Just completely forgot that I had it. And, you know, I was like, oh, you know, cause I mean, it's not a huge deal, but you know, it can be. It's one thing that's interesting though, is I remember months and months, maybe a year ago, whatever, when I missed a therapy appointment. And I remember telling you guys that was like, I need to go, like, I can't wait to get back in there, you know. And now it's been, about 2.5, 3 weeks since I was at therapy last. And I'm not feeling like, man, I can't wait till my next appointment. Like, I'm actually like, it doesn't feel like I need it, you know? So, which is progress. You know, that's moving the right way. So I'm very glad to kind of have that. And I'm not feeling any sort of like, an emotional emergency about that I haven't gone, like I don't need to go in to have my therapist basically calm me down, like I'm doing okay with those kind of things. So that's pretty awesome, and
yeah, that's really great.
yeah. And the last time I was in there, I forgot to bring this up, cause I've been talking with her about like my self-confidence and my, it's weird because this and Henna will know this, but I'm really shy at first. Once I'm a little comfortable, I'm good usually. And that's why I've made a comment before even though I don't recommend this, that it's like, I like myself after 2 drinks because I'll talk to anybody, at that point I'm pretty much like, whatever. And I'll go talk to people essentially. But of course I don't want to be that way all the time. I don't want to have to use alcohol as my, way to talk to people.
Yeah.
Cause obviously that's not going to be appropriate all the time. But anyway, I was telling my therapist about it. So she recommended, sorry, I'm off mic here. She recommended a book, which I just got, so I haven't started reading it yet, but it's called 10 Simple Solutions for Building Self-Esteem. And,
cool.
Yeah, she said it's one that, her and various colleagues have recommended to people and it's seemed to help. So hopefully that'll help me. Cause it really is. It's like, I don't like going up to anybody, but especially women and, breaking the ice. It's just not my strength, But once the ice is broken, I know I'm good, so it's one of those things that I just, for my own sake, I need to get better at this.
Right.
Because it bothers me, like there's times where, and I'm not even talking like trying to date somebody, but just something in general. And it's like, I don't want to bother them, or I don't want to walk up to them. And, it's like, no, just, it's not a big deal. Go do it. So yeah, hopefully that'll help in some way or whatever. Like I said, I haven't cracked it open yet. I just got it. So
cool.
Yeah. She was wanting me to read it before like, my next session, which is funny because I didn't go to the last one. So, so there's a chance I will have read it by my next session.
2-week reprieve.
Yeah. So yeah, there was that. I was trying to think. There was something else I was going to bring up, and I can't remember what it is now. Yeah, I don't know. So I can't think of it. So that's basically about all that's gone on. It's been a pretty quiet week. My anxiety is still. I mentioned last week about how I got declined for my appeal on Social Security, and I was like, I'm kind of at a point to where it's like, now what, So I've spent the last week really trying to figure out now what.
Yeah.
Because I really don't know. And, so my anxiety's been up because, it's like I'm at that point that it's like, I want change. I want things to happen, but I just don't know what direction I want to go. And it kind of sucks, so I know that's just going to take some time or at some point I'm just going to have to go, I'm doing this and just do this. And I can always take a different road at some point,
Yeah.
But that's not my strength. My strength is not just boom and do something. It's overanalyze it like crazy. Then think about, then basically narrow it down and then do something. So,
right.
But yeah, well, I'll probably talk to my therapist about this actually because.
It sounds like a really good topic for you guys to discuss.
Yeah. So, but that's about it. So yeah, that's,
cool.
That was the other thing I was wanting to mention. I knew there was something else. So that's about it for me though.
Awesome. Well, I know you brought up, an article that you read the other day that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, it was just a post on tinybuddha.com. And it's something we've talked about a little bit on here before, and I'm a big believer in a lot of this stuff, which is it's a list of 20 things that you never have to apologize for. And what the author of this did, and she's the founder of Tiny Buddha, I should probably mention her name, by Lori Deshane, I think it is. I'll have the link in the show notes if anyone wants to check out the rest of it, because I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to basically go over the points. she solicited answers from people of things that you just should never have to apologize for, essentially, in life. And I think there's a lot of freedom in these, because there's a lot of things we apologize for that it really isn't something it's almost like we take on guilt that's not ours, essentially,
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to go through these and, like we do anyway, we'll just talk about them as we go. The first one is removing someone from your life that repeatedly crosses your boundaries. That one is so hard for so many people to do, but you also don't have to apologize for that. You're making the best decisions in your life. Now, there's nothing wrong with apologizing for it if you want to. But no, you don't have to. If there's a level of toxicity in your life from someone and you don't want them there, just remove them, and don't worry about the consequences, and don't worry about apologizing and making it right and all. It's like, you just gotta be, as we've talked before, you just gotta be selfish sometimes,
Well, and I hate to even say it's selfish as much as it is self-preservation.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. You have to protect yourself. And if somebody is not supporting you and being a part of your support system, and they're a negative influence on you in the direction you want to go in your life, you just have to separate from them. Yeah. And it's okay. Yep. And you don't have to apologize for that. You can, and very eloquently, just, either start backing away from their socializing with them, or even telling them, so, I appreciate who you are, but I'm going in a different direction with my life, and I just don't think it's beneficial for us to be friends.
Yeah. Which is, like I said, it's not an easy step. It's
hard. Yeah.
It took me a long time to be able to just do this, but it's very freeing. And again, I don't do it lightly. Like, I don't just shrug people out of my life generally, it's, if I remove somebody from my life, it's usually for a reason, like they've done something, or like you said, they don't want to go on the path you're going on, essentially, or the journey with you. So, yeah. The second one is being who we are and feeling our feelings, which is one you've brought up a ton of times on here. And of course we've talked about, your feelings are valid, even if someone else doesn't agree with them, they're valid because they're your feelings. So you shouldn't have to apologize for having feelings.
Now, the caveat to that is, you may have to apologize for your actions based upon that you took based upon your feelings.
Yeah.
So there's two different things there, folks.
Yeah.
Feelings are nouns. They're not verbs. They're nouns, and they need to be treated as such. They're just, sad is sad.
Yeah.
What you do, those are the action items. What you do based upon, I am sad, so I will blank.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff you may end up having to apologize for. But you don't apologize for being sad, because if you're sad, you're sad.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a noun. It's a fact. It's a done deal.
Right.
So, that's it. Never apologize for your emotions.
Yep. Let's see, what's the next one? Oh, there it is. Trusting your instincts even if you can't explain it. That's another one I'm big on, because I for the longest time, I was very much a gut reaction kind of person. I overthought stuff too, but I was also very much like, if I got like a funny feeling about something, I wouldn't do it, kind of a deal. And, it didn't always make other people happy, but I don't care,
Well, something that goes along with that, though, you have to keep in mind, especially if you're dealing with mental illness, those gut feelings can be manufactured from,
for sure.
You know what I mean? From your mental illness. So you have to be careful, because sometimes the gut feeling you're getting is fear, or it's anxiety that's created falsely.
Right. So,
so you have to kind of, find the balance there.
Right. And that's where you would apply your distorted thinking worksheets and make sure that you're acting on logic, not not perception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The next one is we should never apologize if we're not truly sorry. I don't believe in apologizing because someone demands an apology, which I agree with. I've
100%.
I've never liked apologizing if I'm not sorry. And as much as it might make me a jerk, I've straight up told people I'm not apologizing because I'm not sorry for that. And again, it could be that you're sorry that they are hurt by whatever, but my action is my action, and I made a decision for whatever reason. And like I said, it bugs me. I don't like it when people do it with their kids because it's I don't feel it's teaching your kids the right way, but whatever. That's for them to figure out. But I just, and as an adult, I'm not going to apologize for something just because someone got offended or just because somebody got hurt by it. It's like, sometimes it's a them problem, Sometimes it's not a me problem. Sometimes it is a me problem, and don't get me wrong. There are times where I've not wanted to apologize for something and gone back and done it because my perspective has changed a little bit. Maybe someone else will be like, hey, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even see that, So, obviously there's wiggle room in all of these.
And you can always, you even kind of mentioned it, you can always apologize for portions of things. You don't have to apologize for exactly, I'm sorry that I chose the words that I did that hurt you.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to hurt you, but I did mean to say what I said.
Yeah.
The point was still the same. I did mean to make that point.
And that's the thing is, the important part of this to me is that if you're going to apologize, is don't say stuff like, I'm sorry it made you cry. Because then you're throwing it at the other person instead of saying, I'm sorry what I said upset you. Make sure you leave yourself in the conversation so that you are taking responsibility. If you apologize and don't put yourself in the sentence, to me, it's not a genuine apology because you're pretty much just going like, I'm sorry you have feelings. It's not I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, and that's the difference is,
Yes, these are all I'm sorry, they're I statements. They need to start with me.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah. And, again, it's, about not blaming others essentially too. So, and as Henno's mentioned on here before, there's always something you did in a situation that added to it essentially. There may be some that I wouldn't criticize, like someone's assaulted or whatever, those kind of things. But you know what I'm saying? In general behaviors, a lot of times we've got a part that we played in it. So, make sure you keep looking.
No one can make you do anything you don't want to do.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah. And so,
what?
I was going to say, so just keep that in mind. So if you made me say such a, no, they didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You made me, no, I didn't. No. You may have felt you needed to respond in that manner, but I did not make you do that.
Yeah.
There's distinctions.
Yep. All right. The next one is quality me time or taking care of yourself. Which I agree on that one too. There's always been people that'll call you and want you to go out or whatever. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in tonight or whatever. And they try to lay a guilt trip on you or whatever. And it's like, you should never have to, apologize for that. It's, if you got to take care of yourself, you got to take care of yourself. Again, like you said earlier, self-preservation. It's not being selfish. It's self-preservation. No different than if you had what you felt like was the beginning of a cold and you're like, I'm going to go home and rest because I feel like I'm getting sick, and most people would be, like, oh, okay, kind of a thing. But again, with mental health, it's, since people can't see it, they don't see a reason, What's the next one? Your opinion. There is no right or wrong opinion. And there'd be a lot less arguments if more people could just respect and appreciate different insights. Very true.
Very true. And a big thing, remember, it's even made it into the, I believe, the Bill of Rights, the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is not freedom of speech you want to hear.
Yeah. Well,
It's freedom of speech means everyone's entitled to have their own opinion and to express it.
yeah. And really, when you talk about opinions and different stuff or being right kind of a thing, it's like right is only a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Because, take any conflict, both sides think they're right. Well, who's actually right? Is that it's generally determined by society or something, but it's like, if you ask either side, you're going to get, or Republican, Democrat, anything like that. It's like, well, we're right for these reasons and they're wrong for, and it's like, okay, but, that's fine. But you also have to accept that they feel and believe this way, The next one is, standing up for what you believe in. And yeah, that's one I agree with as well. I was taught from the time I was a little kid, to stand up for things I believe in, and, to choose your battles wisely and don't die on a hill for something that's really not worth it,
Right.
But to at least, if you feel you're being wronged or that something in your, it's just not good for you and there's nothing wrong with standing up for it, living the way we choose to, regardless of fitting in with other people's norms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never apologize for who you are and the choices that you make in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, not like that. That's a good one because, we all have something where it's probably not I don't drive. It bothers some people. And over the years, but it's like, I don't apologize for it anymore. I haven't for a long time. I mean, it's like, look, this is who I am, this isn't new. But it's one of those things that in the area we live in, having a car and driver's license is the normal, behavior, and again, like I've said before, it's like, if I moved to Chicago or DC or New York, nobody would care. It wouldn't even seem weird. They'd just be like, whatever, cause public transit's the way things are done. It's just a matter of, because we live here.
Right. It becomes a thing.
Yeah. It doesn't fit the norm here. So, making decisions about your own future that don't do any harm to anyone. No one should be made to feel guilty for trying to better themselves. 100% agree with this. And if people have a problem with you trying to better yourself, that tells you where they should be in your life. That's a glowing thing, because if people aren't happy for your success or happy that you're trying to be successful, that means they're essentially working against you, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's going to be times where you're like, I want to do this, and your family member or somebody or friend will be like, is that really the smartest thing to do? That kind of thing is a little different, but if somebody genuinely is basically just, hating on you for the sake of they're not as successful or whatever,
Yeah.
No,
they're not part of your support system. You don't need them.
Yeah. Shoot, I lost my place. There it is. You shouldn't have to apologize for how you feel. You may need to apologize for how you act on your feelings, but never for being hurt, angry, sad, etc., and expressing how you feel. There's a difference. We pretty much talked about that one in the other one. Yeah. Being sensitive. I feel my feelings, and I believe it's hurtful when individuals are quick to tell someone to get over it. If we aren't harming anyone, we all deserve to process our feelings in our own time frame and manner.
Absolutely.
I agree with that one too.
And there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm not ready to move past this yet.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Someone may be ready because they process things in their time and they're ready to move past it and stuff. And if you're not ready, don't push yourself. You need to take the time you need to take to process whatever emotions you need to process.
Yep.
Then you can move on.
Yep. Yeah, that's a strong one too, because it is. And like it says, especially if you're not harming anyone, then, you know, and telling someone to get over it, I also want to point out, not just get over it, but like man up, cowboy up, any of those concepts, you know?
Yeah.
Those are not beneficial
They're not
to people.
helpful, they're insulting.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There are times where you really do have to suck it up. You know, there are times when you have to do that. You don't have a lot of a choice. But at the same time, you know, it's, you know, don't tell someone how to grieve. Don't tell, you know, that kind of thing. But just be careful with those kind of things, because sometimes, you know, when you tell somebody to do these kind of things, what they basically are going to see is that you don't want to hear about it. So now maybe they're not going to talk about it. Now maybe they're going to keep it inside. And you know what I mean? It's like these things can manifest into negativity, a depression spiral, whatever. And I'm not blaming the person who would say cowboy up or whatever. It's just the truth. Sometimes these things unintentionally can trigger these kind of deals.
Right.
For never apologize for being protective of our children and trusting our instincts as parents, especially when they're not yet capable of advocating for themselves. Yeah. I mean, neither of us are parents, but I'm pretty sure we both are on board on that one. Cause
yeah, absolutely.
That's your primary job as a parent, is the preservation of your kid, you know?
And I will extend that a little bit further in your animals, because I know they're not the same as children. I'm not trying to put them in the same category.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, there's a circumstance, because I have a pit, and I have to be very protective of him.
Yep.
Because there's people who have very strong opinions.
Yep.
And he may growl at something like a normal dog. He's going to be treated differently because of his growl than another dog's growl. So I have to make sure that I protect him from situations where he may be falsely accused or be put in a situation where he's, you know, he could be taken advantage of in that manner. So,
and
I'll never apologize for saying, you know, I don't think it's appropriate for my dog to be in this scenario or type of thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, because again, it's a situation where the dog can't advocate for himself, you know, so
exactly,
you know, you're the only one that can't. And you're right. There's a lot of bias out there toward pits. So, you know, I understand that. The next one we kind of just talked about a minute ago was having to grieve. Some people think there's a time limit or a time frame. It could take a lifetime to accept someone we love passing away. And I mean, look, my dad passed away, 13 years ago? And it still hurts every bit as much as it did then, you know, like I don't know that I'll ever stop grieving, you know?
Yeah.
I don't
and
think
don't
I
judge
ever
people
will.
how they grieve.
Yeah.
Because some people grieve with humor. Some people grieve with tears. Some people grieve with anger. Don't judge them based upon how they grieve or how long they grieve. That's not up to you. That's up to them.
Yeah. This next one's one that I definitely buy into. Speaking the truth. It ain't always pleasant, but better to know what's really in someone's heart than to be fake. And I've said that so many times. I'd rather just have somebody walk up to me and tell me they hate me than pretend to like me, and then I find out later that they can't stand me. You know, it's like, just don't be fake. Just own it. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're adults. Most people will be able to handle that. You know? And, you know, by just living a truthful life is just better anyway. You don't have to worry about, you know, remembering lies or what you've told this person or keeping stories straight, all this garbage, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's much simpler. It's just easier.
Listen, it does. It absolutely will rub people the wrong way, but they will either love you for it or they won't want to be around you, basically, which realistically is the same of most of our strong traits, you know? And if people can't handle the fact that I'm willing to tell the truth all the time, I don't know how much I want to be friends with them, you know? Because I'm really the type that wants people to just be truthful. You know, no games, no, you know, same with like the dating situation. It's like, I don't want any of these stupid games. You know, I'm 39, too old for this garbage. You know,
right?
Let's just be honest adults. You're not interested in me? Cool. I can live with that. Move on, you know? The next one is, speaking up when someone has hurt us in some way. This one I love because there's so many people who won't. I've basically yelled at someone else because someone won't stand up for themselves, you know, and then I usually will turn to them and be like, you know, stand up for yourself, you know, like, cause it, you know, I was taught from a young age to stand up for what you believe in and stand up for yourself because at some point nobody else will, you know, and, you know, like when your parents are alive, generally your parents will stand up for you every time, or siblings, but there may be a point where all that's gone and, you know, or they're not available or it's not appropriate. Like at work, you're not going to have your mom come in and stand up for you, you know? Right. So you have to learn to stand up for yourself or you're just going to get trampled. You know, and you don't have to be a jerk about it, but it's just, but if you're standing up for yourself, people need to accept that. You know,
and it comes in different forms. Like even today, you know, somebody was teasing me about doing two different jobs. You know, if I'm already working Saturday, I can do this job and that job.
Right.
And my response back was fine. You can pay me for both jobs too, and I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I stood up for myself. They weren't really being serious. I wasn't really being serious.
Yep.
But the point was made that they understood that I'm not just going to take on all this extra work without being compensated for it because I know my value.
Yeah. Well, and realistically, like your situation with how you mentioned that you don't, or how you get a lunch but you don't take it. That's the kind of situation where you could. I'm not saying you have to or you should, but that's a situation where you could go, "Hey, I'm on lunch break," and walk away because that's really what you're supposed to do. But you can work through it. That's fine too. But that's a kind of situation where
that's my choice.
Right.
I can't get mad at that.
No. What I'm getting at more is that if you said, "Hey, I'm going on lunch," and they were like, "Well, you know," it's like, "No, I'm going on lunch." Like.
Yeah.
You know, or like you gave an example about, to me before we started talking about how someone, you know, when you mentioned you were leaving work on time, you know, somebody was like, "Oh, well, you know, I'm going to do that because I don't want to be alone." And my response was, that's a them problem, you know, like, cause it is. And that's the situation is that at that point you're like, nope, this is what I have to do for me and peace out, you know?
Yep.
So, you know, it goes back, you know, again, standing up for yourself, you know, this one you covered already, fighting for the rights of animals. So there you go. You already covered that one.
You're right.
Really, really funny. Oddly enough, the next one, taking a break and doing absolutely nothing for 10 minutes. We kind of just covered that one as well.
Yes, we did.
The next one is being a free thinker and questioning everything, even when it's not the popular thing to do.
That's a tough one because I do apologize sometimes for asking questions, and I shouldn't.
I usually don't apologize for asking questions. What I kind of do though is I realize at some point that me asking 40 questions is annoying, you know, and then I'll kind of, you know, try to find my way out of that.
And that's kind of what I do. It's like, cause when I realize I'm starting to annoy or hold up the situation or annoy people, I end up apologizing. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be argumentative. Yeah. I'm just trying to understand.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely.
Understanding.
Yeah, definitely those kind of ones. Yeah, I've done the same thing because it is true. It's like, you know, or like somebody will start telling you a story and you interrupt to ask questions. Like I'm the type that I'm really funny because I want you to tell the story as quick as possible, but I also want it to be as detailed as possible. And I know it's really tough sometimes to be like uber concise, but, you know, there are times where I'll start asking questions because something doesn't add up or it helps me, digest the rest or it gives me context. You know, sometimes, you know, like when you mentioned the woman who had, you know, was coming back there
Mm-hmm.
And, I asked you 3 or 4 questions, like before you even got into the story about her, because, and then after I was like, okay, this all makes sense now. And, but I fully know that it's my brain being, ridiculous. Yeah. The next one is choosing what you think is best for your life. Yep. Can't argue with that one at all. Cause
nope.
It's your life. You have to make those choices, and other people don't have to generally, don't get me wrong. There's times where people have to live with like the butterfly effect, or the consequences of it, but you are the one living that life. So you shouldn't have to apologize to somebody else for living that life, Again, go back up to the one where you can apologize for your actions or something that is triggered by that, but not so much the initial act, And then the last one is apologizing too much.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm an apologizer. And I mean, I'm the type that, when someone's like, blah, blah, bad thing happened to me, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And they're like, why? You didn't do anything. It's like, well, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I know I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm showing empathy, but but there's probably a better way to do it. I apologize for a lot of stuff at times. And I've tried to get better about that, not to be a jerk about it or something, but there's times where you don't have to say sorry 40 times,
And that's really, I'm a big apologizer myself. So it's tough to break that habit.
Yeah.
But I do clarify a lot because I've done that too. I've apologized and people have called me and they're like, why are you apologizing? I'm apologizing because I'm sorry that you had to go through that, or I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that you were sad.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want you to feel that, like you said, it's empathy more than it is apologizing.
That truly is what it is with me, because I'm very much, I don't like it when people I care about hurt or are wronged, or like, I immediately I'm a fixer. I want to make it right. And it's not, and don't take that the wrong way as a white knight syndrome situation. It's more the type of, if someone was beating up your little brother, you'd come to his rescue. If someone was beating up your little sister, you'd also come to their rescue, either way, not just because of their gender or whatever, but just because it's wrong. That's the kind of thing, is I have a very strong aversion to things I perceive as wrong.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah, and then that's where it comes from. But it can come across as, I don't know. It can come across as stepping over the line or whatever sometimes, or just being annoying because you're like, all right, enough. I have to keep apologizing. One of the things on here, or not on here, geez. I forgot what I was going to say now. Wow, I just lost it. God, man, I hate when that happens.
Hate it. Hate that.
Me too. Because I'll remember like 3 hours from now. Because I'm very much the type that I'll totally lose a train of thought or something, and then right as I'm about to fall asleep, boom, there it is.
Right.
Why are you here now? Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I guess, I appreciate what she's saying here, and I think it's really good for all of us to really pay close attention to what we say and how we say it. Like we had the show on you choosing your words. I think this kind of aligns with that a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like choosing when you say I'm sorry gives it more power. So if you overuse it or you apologize for everything, it doesn't have as much emphasis as powerful as when you can use it appropriately.
The other thing with it is, realistically, apologizing too much is seen as a sign of weakness.
Right.
It is. And if someone is an alpha, you will immediately be seen as a beta for apologizing too much. And I'm not saying that you should stop because of that reason, but it's something to definitely be aware of.
Yes.
You know, especially in like a work environment and such, to where basically, you know, you don't want to be a beta most of the time in working, you know, in your work environment, because if you are, usually that's when you get, you know, stomped on.
Right. Taken advantage of.
Yeah. So, you know, so again, you know, kind of bounce back to the standing up for yourself part of it, which is believe in your, part of the reason you shouldn't apologize all the time for a lot of these things is because you should be confident in your decisions. And once you've made a decision and started, you know, like, this is what I'm doing, and start doing it, is, you know, be confident in it, but also accept that whatever happens from that point is fine, you know, kind of a deal. And if you do that, then you won't find yourself feeling like you need to apologize as much, I think. I think that's part of why I apologize as much as I do, is because I don't like to hurt people either. And you know, so there's that angle with it too. It's just, you know, but it is for the best to, you know, to be okay with your decisions. Understand that you're gonna make decisions people don't like. That's fine. We all do it. No matter who it is, they do it, you know? But if you notice, a lot of the people who you look to as successful or confident or whatever, you don't see them apologizing for stuff all the time. And don't get me wrong, there's some that are too far the other way to where they just don't care,
right,
you know, but you know, care about what you're doing to others. Yeah, care about what you're doing to others, but also, you know, care about what you're doing for and to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think this was a good conversation.
I think so too. This was, like you said, I think it goes really well with the choosing your words. Actually, that might be what it is. I think that was the title of it, is Choosing Your Words. Something.
Good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good one to check out, folks. Really good one to check out.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're ready to wrap up?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Awesome. Well, if you would like to continue the conversation with us, you would like to join us, come on board and have and sit down with us and have a conversation, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach me on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also reach us through sorry, got distracted there for a second. You can reach us via email at thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com, or our website, thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. And Hanno, you can reach him on Facebook on Twitter at Ida Hanno, or on Facebook at Hanno Heiter. And make sure you check out his campaign and his campaign site and all that other good jazz and see what he's up to. Mm-hmm. And how about you, Brian?
You can also find the show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. My other podcasts can be found at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work, so, you know, don't play it around the children's. My blog can be found at stunami.wordpress.com. Yeah, and again, I didn't update it last week. I'm actually going to try, I'm going to try to get it done, because I actually just thought of a topic a little bit ago, even though I've got a bunch saved in my email. Like, I'll send it to myself and just keep, you know, I have a list of things. Where was I? Oh, our Facebook group can be found at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast. We have a bunch of good resources on the notes page on there, like numbers and websites that can help with mental health and you know, or crisis management. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? Oh, we're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. If you'd like to help the show out, we'd appreciate it if you're on iTunes, if you would rate, review, and subscribe. If you haven't already, that helps us get move up in the search rankings. And if you're using Stitcher or another podcast app, please use the like and share button to basically do the same thing. Or, you know, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, share our posts and, you know, with your friends and whatnot, or tell people, you know, that you think might enjoy the show. Then the next part is, we're not trained professionals or therapists or doctors. We're just two people sharing our experiences and opinions. and they're valid. And
we will not apologize for them.
Yeah. But if you feel you need help or something, and one of our shows triggers something that's like, hey, that's me, and I could use help, please seek out help. Go get the estimate, see what's going on. That way you can move forward and maybe have more tools at your disposal. Please do not self-diagnose. And also, please don't substitute this show for therapy, 'cause it's not. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, geez. It's funny. I do this every week, but every week I'm like, duh, I do it on Salty Language too. I do the same kind of stuff and I'm always like, if you feel like you may harm yourself or others, please reach out to somebody in your support group or system. If you're in a support group, reach out to them too. Contact your doctor, let them know. Call suicide prevention hotline number. Go to a hospital, tell them you're having a mental health crisis. But please seek help. Please do not be alone. If nothing else, call a friend and talk to them to help you talk through that, or see if they'll come over or whatever. But again, please don't be alone. And if you catch yourself planning how you would do something like this, or writing like a suicide note or whatever, please seek help then, because that's the first sign, or one of the early signs that, your brain is not in a good place. So if you see yourself doing that, and also if you see a friend of yours doing something along those lines, make sure you get the help that you or they need. And then lastly, reach out to somebody. Again, it's funny, since I've been saying this every week, I've found myself doing it more and more, and it's really been rewarding how many people I've talked with, how many have opened up to me, just because I'm willing to reach out to them. And it means a lot to people. And, like I said, I've heard stories in the past where, somebody, someone mentioned or said hi or called them or something like that, and it ended up being, they put off the thought of suicide for another day, and sometimes that's good enough. And, worst case scenario, I mean, you brighten someone's day, Best case scenario is, you might save their life. So there's really no reason not to. And it's so easy to do with the social media now,
Absolutely.
And again, if you ask somebody how they are, genuinely care and listen. That's something a lot of us don't do enough of. All right, I'm done.
Absolutely. All right, with that, remember, reach out and talk to somebody. Wiggle your toes. Keep you breathing. Do all your tools in your toolbox. And have a good week.